Welcome to the Kindness Project, the podcast designed to share stories of kindness and share how kindness can make positive change in our world, one small act at a time.
In this week's episode of the Kindness Project, we talk about cargo, cats. We have part one of our interview with Debra Corey from DebCo HR Ltd.
Welcome one and all to another episode of the Kindness Project. I'm joined by two blokes on two sides of the debate. Cargo or shipping?
It's not really a debate. It's
No.
just probably curiosity.
Yeah. I mean, we were having a discussion about what's the difference between cargo and shipping and why one's one and why one's the other.
But actually, the word cargo comes from the original. I've just looked it up. Comes from the original late Latin verb meaning to load a vehicle. So cargo quite literally means in Latin.
I don't think
where
you're
a car
interpreting
goes.
that right. I think it means where it goes in the car.
Is it?
Yeah, because it's when loading a vehicle, and when you're loading a vehicle, you're putting things into the vehicle.
You could have a point.
So
I see what you mean. You're not loading a vehicle onto a boat, are you?
Yeah.
But it's where the things go in the vehicle is the cargo. So it's called cargo because it goes in the cargo loads, quite literally.
Cargo load. Yeah, cool. All right. How are we today, chaps, apart from this really in-depth debate on cargo?
I'm good.
I got juice.
Right, can we just have a mug check? I know it's a bit early for mug of the week. I've got my Daddy Bear mug.
I'm drinking out of this Starbucks mug I found in TK Maxx.
Fair enough. Did you pay for it when you took it out of TK Maxx?
I did,
Or are you still in TK Maxx right now?
Christ, you're right. I am still in TK Maxx. No,
Yeah, you've never left TK Maxx.
never did. I never did.
You
I
never
lived
left
there.
TK Maxx. What are you drinking out of, Russ? Oh, hold on. Charlotte, you can't see this podcast, listeners, but Charlotte's got multiple
I always have multiple
receptacles
drinks
for
on the go.
how many drinks you got on the go at the minute?
Let me switch my video on.
Just two at the moment because I drank my hot chocolate. But
Oh, where's that one from? You've got a collection of travel mugs that you use, Russ, haven't you?
I'm drinking out of this Costa Farmers cup. I was drinking out of this earlier.
Right.
Oh, yes.
Milkshake.
So you've got multiple juice.
I've got a juice.
What was in that other one, Russ?
Milkshake.
It brings all the boys to the yard. How many boys have turned up at your yard?
Not many boys.
Ah, what a shame.
I love
What
the
did you have in your
implication
milkshake?
it's Not many boys, but
Yeah, what did turn up in the yard?
Somebody else's cat apparently was out there earlier.
Oh, go on. Go on, tell us about that.
Well, they was Truffles was fighting with it outside.
Truffles.
Yeah, it's my cat.
Truffles the cat.
Yeah, I had Oreo, I had Truffles, and I had Pepper. They're all named after food products.
What's the next one going to be called?
And then I had
Maltesers.
Then I had nutmeg and mackerel.
mackerel.
Why you seem to be going all over the shop in terms of the foods you're naming your cats. It's like you're not picking with like
they look like
a
those.
theme.
Like mackerel is a silvery with black running through it, so it looks like a mackerel.
Right, go on in. What were the others called?
Nutmeg was ginger, so obviously nutmeg is a yellowy colour.
Right,
Wouldn't
go
you
on.
just call it ginger?
No, because it had to be a food, Charlotte. You're not
You can
getting
eat
with the
ginger.
program on this one.
You can eat ginger.
Yeah, but ginger's not ginger, is it? What colour's ginger, Russ?
Yeah, it's a very, very light yellow ginger.
Right, ginger is ginger, Charlotte, all right? Just so you know. I got that one wrong. Apologies.
No, ginger is very
ginger's
light
ginger.
yellow.
Whereas the
Right,
ginger is in colour is like an orangish.
Yeah.
So the cat that should have been called Ginger was called what?
No,
Nutmeg.
I wouldn't call the cat ginger. It sounds like a 70s hooker, doesn't it?
going to skip over that.
I don't know if you've ever seen Casino, but her name was Ginger.
Sharon Stone.
Yeah.
Was it? Okay. So you don't want to name your cat after Sharon Stone. So you've avoided the word ginger. But me and Charlotte both agree, Charlotte, that your cat should have been called Ginger.
No, and then Truffles was pure black, which truffles are pure black.
Truffles, right? Go on.
And then Pepper was like a brandy colour. So we called it Pepper.
if you
and
went
Oreo was
for
black and white, and Oreo's black and white. And one of Kenny's most favourite biscuits.
You know what? I thought that story was going to be a lot more entertaining than it was, to be honest.
I don't know where you are.
It was quite literal. You've just picked foods based on their colour.
Let me tell you about my milkshake, though.
Oh, go on then.
It was made in a Ninja.
Sorry, before you tell us about this milkshake, am I going to regret you telling this story and want to get these 5 minutes back, or is this going to be entertaining?
It had strawberries, it had milkshake, powder, it had ice cream, and it had milk.
When does this start getting fun?
Yeah. What's more fun than 5 ingredients to make a lovely drink?
I put.
Should we go back to the cat story?
Hold on. And a Ninja to process it all together.
Oh well. Guess where I was today?
Where was
I was over at for the second time in a couple of weeks over at Battersea Power Station.
What are them screens like?
What screens?
They've got screens where you go up in the top of the power station, didn't they?
So this is what we did. Okay, we went over there. Sophie and I went over there a couple of weeks ago when it was the last bank holiday, because we are currently, as we record this, celebrating a coronation bank holiday. The last time there was a bank holiday, we went over there and a little look around. Everything was fully booked, so we didn't. Oh, this is turning into the milkshake story, isn't it? I don't know what's going on. Everything was fully booked. So Cassie, Sophie, and I decided to go this time up because you can go up the chimney. Now, before anybody writes in, I'm not sending
back.
Sorry?
That's definitely 5 minutes. I'm definitely not getting back.
I can't. I did say at the start that I don't know whether I can make the story entertaining. Only to say that what I might do when I retell the story, when people ask me what I got up to over the weekend, I might just say I sent my 11-year-old up a chimney and see what people say. Because that is true, isn't it?
I wonder how many people will ask if she had a broom.
I don't know. Again, Russ, for that comment, you've made the story a bit duller than it needed to be. So thank you for ruining that. What is going on with you today?
Why would you send a 13-year-old up a twin chimney without a broom?
She can do it with her hands. She can clean it with her hands.
Or a small rag.
Anyway, a small rag. There you go. Charlotte's got the idea. And if somebody asked, did you give her a broom? I'm going to turn around and go, no. I made her do it with her T-shirt. I made her clean it with her own clothes. That's what I'm going to say. Anyway, so we're going up in the chimney. It was okay. I mean, it's a iconic building. As both of you know, I quite like iconic pieces of architecture. But when you're up in the chimney, you don't see that much of London because it's so far west.
Yeah.
Like you're sort of squinting to see all the good stuff in London, which for me is like...
The entrance to the lift looks amazing, though.
It is.
I see a video online.
Yeah, it is. So the entrance to the lift is amazing. Going up the chimney in the lift is pretty good. So it's worth a visit, but I won't go rushing back. And Battersea might be one of the most expensive places to eat that I've ever been to. It's
There's
like
a man that's been twice in as many weeks.
yeah, I've done it now.
You
I'm
already
over
went
Battersea.
rushing back though, didn't you? You already went rushing back.
I didn't rush back. I sauntered back within the next couple of weeks. What would you consider rushing back? Because I'd consider rushing back if I went, loved it so much, I took the day off and went the next day. That's rushing back, isn't
Yeah,
it?
but people have jobs, don't they? So they can't do that. So a week or two would be rushing back.
Would it? Okay.
Next earliest convenience would be rushing back.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I mean, it wasn't. I could have gone at any point last weekend, but I didn't. So I didn't rush back. But Cassie wanted to go. Cassie didn't come with us last time, so we managed to get some tickets for the chimney and go from there. Can I send you up chimney, Charlotte? Or now you're an adult, I'm not allowed to do that sort of thing anymore.
Been there, done that. You'll have to chuck me into a factory instead.
Oh, can I? Can I make you do a bit of factory work? Can I sublet Russ? I mean, I can't now because he's not working full time for the firm, is he? so can I? But can I sublet Russ to to do other jobs?
I used to work in a glue factory over in Barking, and that was the most boring job I've ever had. I had to measure the glue with a special measurer to make sure it was completely round.
You used to work in a glue factory?
Yeah.
How do I not know this about you? How long was you there?
That was when I was on the agency, when I was younger.
Oh, right, okay, yeah. So my worst agency job when I was a lot younger was the one where I went to a factory in Bethnal Green. So I know you two have heard this story before, but I think the worst job I've ever had was in a factory in Bethnal Green when I went along and there was literally these circles with a little perforated circle in the middle, and my job was just to poke the perforated circle in the middle out for hours. And when I asked, why am I poking this perforated circle out, they turned around genuinely to me and said, none of your business, just get on with your job. And I was like, I cannot. I mean, I've wasted so much of my life recording this podcast today, listening to random stories, but they were entertaining in comparison to poking out perforated circles in a factory in Bethnal Green. I just couldn't do that anymore. So I didn't.
I've got something entertaining. I got new stickers.
Oh.
Yeah. Thank you, Russell.
Have a look.
Look, I got new flower stickers
Nice.
for my bottle. And they're all over.
Nice.
And they're just so cute. Look, this one's my favourite. It's purple with like green leaves, and just love a good sticker. And I found a pack online. No, it doesn't. No. But I found a pack online and it was like 50 flower stickers for £1, and I was like, I've got to have it.
That's a bargain, isn't it? Absolute bargain.
Yeah.
And I'd like to start a new feature on the podcast called "What's the Last Thing You Bought?" Russ, what was the last thing you bought?
Don't ask me. I've been spending this week.
Go on.
I bought a candy floss machine.
Oh, here we go! How many times are you going to use that candy floss? What's it? Right, sorry. Are you working on a festival?
I bought a milkshake maker.
Oh.
A popcorn machine. 2 new ninjas.
A big top. Are you opening a circus, Rose? Is that what you're trying to tell us?
Ninjas, yeah, I've been spending this week, so over the course of the last couple of weeks, so
right, okay. So where is all the how big is a candy floss machine?
Candy floss machine, it's only like that big.
No, you want a podcast, Russ? You got to describe it inside
it's round, about 12 inches, I suppose.
12 inches, right.
Round.
And then how tall?
It's only
it's only that big. Right. How long have you now been a guest co-host on the podcast. You cannot use your hands on the podcast.
Yeah, but you ask me things that I don't know. And
Yeah, you go instinctive. Yeah.
Have a guess. Is it as big? Is it as big as a dog?
I'd say about 4 inches off the ground, off the sideboard.
So it goes on the sideboard, right? So popcorn maker and a candy floss machine.
The popcorn maker, tiny. It's just a little box, and
Right.
with a little spout, and you just put the popcorn in, and it comes out.
What's the last thing
Charlotte,
you bought?
No, let's just explore this a bit further.
No.
Charlotte, do you want to ask the question, or shall I?
Yeah, what's the last thing you bought, Dad?
I bought some clothes for my holiday today. But I'll use those clothes time and time again.
And so will the kids as well.
Yes.
And then when I've finished using them, it will go. I mean, I think we are probably the only family that hands down clothes from parent to kids. I got handed up some clothes last time I was in Scotland, Russ. I got a T-shirt. So it goes both ways. We just share wardrobes. It makes life easier.
Does it fit?
But what? Huh?
Does it fit?
It fits.
I might have another one for you.
Oh, nice.
I bought one. Well, I bought one for myself, and it's one size too small.
Okay, track it down next time you're there, and I'll give it a go. Can I ask Russ, before you bought the candy floss machine?
No, you can't ask.
Well, I'm going to ask anyway. Before you bought the candy floss machine, when was the last time you had candy floss?
I don't eat candy floss. Kelly eats candy floss.
Right, okay. When was the last time Kelly had candy floss before you bought the candy floss machine?
The last time the fair was in town.
And when was that?
That was last summer.
Oh, okay. Okay. Now, can I ask?
Oh, no. That's a lie. And I can tell you why that's a lie. She buys buckets of it at our shop, little buckets. They're about knee-high to a grasshopper. And they're free flavours.
You need to get better at describing distance and space, mate. How big is a bucket knee-high to a grasshopper? How big's that actual bucket?
It's big enough to fit three flavours of candy floss in.
What are the flavours?
I don't know what the flavours are. I don't
Pink,
know.
blue, plain.
No, they're
what
colours.
flavour did she making? I bought the sugar for marshmallow, sour apple, strawberry, cola. Yeah, I bought loads of flavours for her.
I can't eat candy floss. It makes me feel ill.
It makes my teeth itch. Candy floss. It's a bit like. Do you know that? Do you know that bit where you have candy floss? But... No. How do you feel about popcorn?
I don't eat popcorn either. Eddie eats popcorn. Surprisingly, I got a 5 kilogram bag of corns for like a tenner when I'm paying £3 for her to have a bag of popcorn in the shop.
Fair enough. How much have you spent though, Russ, on machinery that creates that?
The machine was like a tenner. No, £12. And the bag of corns, the 5 kilogram bag of corns, was $10.90 something on Amazon.
I stand corrected then, Russ. That might have been an absolute bargain.
All you use is one little spoon of corns, and it makes loads of popcorn.
Amazing.
Would you like to hear about my most recent purchase? Now that we've got over Russell's Ninja product.
They weren't ninjas, but
nice.
So what was your last purchase?
I bought myself a new game.
Oh, cool. And what game did you get?
So it's called Murder by Numbers. It's a murder mystery game. set in, I think it's like the 80s or the 90s or something, where you befriend a tiny robot and you go around using nonograms to solve murder
you love a
cases.
nonogram, don't
I
you?
love a nonogram.
You're such a nonogram fan.
I do. I love a nonogram. Yeah, but like, I'm burning through the Ace Attorney trilogy and the prequel game, and I'm like, I need a new game.
What is
a new game? Good.
What's a nonogram?
Yeah.
It gives you the grid with the numbers.
Oh yeah.
And then it makes a picture, or sometimes it makes one section of a picture. And then you use nonograms, and the picture in the nonogram is the clue that you need to solve the murder.
Oh, I like it a lot. Well, that's what we've been buying this week. My one is clearly the most boring. I've been just buying sort of very plain clothes that will be passed up and down the family. Raz has been buying kitchen implements that are likely going to turn up in my kitchen in a year's time. And Charlotte has bought herself a game. So
you're off my kitchen reward list now.
I don't want your tat, mate. I do not want your tatty kitchen goods, all right?
After you took the mick out of my Ninja Rabbit.
Right. Look, just because you're a ninja lover, in more ways than one, I know you've got a little Chinese man in you. No, I know. Russ was gone on mute at completely the wrong time there. I know you love ninja products, Russ. I think I've got categorical evidence of the fact that you clearly have got a bit of a problem.
I haven't got a problem.
It's not a problem.
Because it is a problem.
It's not a problem.
If I get a call or Cassie speaks to you, Russ, and suddenly there's a parcel winding its way to us, the fact that you've got spare cooking hardware means you've got too much hardware.
So oddly enough, I see the ice cream makers was on cheap. I nearly broadcasted one the other day.
No, don't. We can afford our own. It's all good. Right. Let's move on to. Oh no! Question of the podcast. Question of the podcast is: what was the last thing you bought? So, because I'm now not on social media anymore, it'd be up to Charlotte and Russ to tweet it out on all the channels. But we would love to hear from you. We would love to hear from you. Please let us know. And this is the way that you can get in touch.
Oh, we're back to doing this. We haven't done this in a while. So if you want to reach out to us on Twitter, we're at Ola Kindness. On Facebook, we're at the Kindness Project Podcast. If you just put the Kindness Project Podcast into Google or any other search engine, really, but Google is, as we know, probably your best bet. The Kindness Project Podcast, the link to the website should come up top. If you put Ola at the Kindness Project.co.uk into the email section and you type up a little message and you send it off, that should reach us just fine. I don't know if we actually get any emails.
We get the odd one, don't we?
Occasionally.
Okay.
Yeah, we get the odd one.
I think that's it. I think my personal Twitter is Charlotte J. Dames.
And my personal Twitter is Chris Dames, Daems. So please do get in touch. And on that note, let's move on to
Kindness News.
And I'd like to. This is companies edition. This is business edition, and this is a article from People magazine about companies that are all about random acts of kindness. In a world where anyone can whip out their phones, complain about the slightest flight delay or grumpy cashier, we love to celebrate the positive interactions that make somebody's day and encourage them to pay that kindness forward. We rounded up 7 companies that provided random acts of kindness to their customers and shared the reactions that prove that even the smallest gesture of kindness from a company can make a huge difference. Trader Joe's. Trader Joe's fans go hard, partially because they love the low prices and fun grocery finds, but also because the employees are legendarily nice and thoughtful. In one recent anecdote, TikTok user Baby was having a tough day and teared up when her TJ's cashier made conversation with her. Seeing her reaction, he ran off and dashed back with a bouquet of flowers, gifted to her to brighten her day. Moral of the story is to shop at Trader Joe's because literally I love everybody there. That is so amazing. You're having a bad day, you get a bit emotional at the tills. Somebody goes and gets you some flowers. I absolutely love that. Chewy.com sends flowers when your pet passes away. Pet parents love Chewy.com as a one-stop subscribe and save shop for their animal needs. But if you've got a monthly bag of pet food on auto ship and your pet passes away, getting that bag in the mail can be painful. People have shared that when they've reported their pet's deaths to Chewy, customer service reps have encouraged them to donate the unused food and follow up with a sweet sympathy card and a flower arrangement in honour of their emotional animal. I love that. Absolutely love that. Disney's magic moments. Disney fans are well aware of the many ways the brand's employees are empowered to provide magical moments to park guests. And examples are all over social media. Whether it's an upgraded room view, a free sweet treat, or a thoughtful vacation extra, Disney is known for their great dream of customers. An example that was too adorable not to share, TikTok creator, the Enchanted Esquire's daughter was just barely too short to ride on a coaster she really wanted to try. The ride operator saw her daughter's disappointment and gave her a special pass to skip the line as soon as she was tall enough to ride. 6 weeks later, when she was tall enough, the pass zipped her daughter right on the coaster. Oh, I love that.
I've seen that video.
Good.
Yeah, it's cute.
And we're gonna do one more. Farts Company made mention of TD Bank's noteworthy customer service with special touches like lollipops for humans. Oh, any place that gives away lollipops has got to be a winner. And dog treats for four-legged bankers. But TikTok user Straymond12 says that it's not just that they offer the treats, is that they remember things about their customers. She shared and bought a whole envelope full. Who can be like, oh my God, I love going to the bank, and the TikTok user said, pointing to herself. You too can if you've got people awesome at customer service. I think just like if you're dealing with any sort of organisation, just somebody doing something nice actually isn't only the kind thing to do, but it just makes business sense as well, because you get the loyalty of people if they think they're dealing with like real life humans who care about them, don't you think?
Yeah. It's always important, like,
Yeah, it just makes sense all round, but it's bizarre that actually it doesn't happen as often as you think, right? Why do you think that is?
Why?
Yeah.
I think it's hard to get everybody to sing from the same hymn sheet in them big organisations.
Yeah, no, I get that. But then, I mean, it's interesting because the interview that we're going to have this week is going to explore a bit of this. It comes like it is about values, isn't it? It is about that organisational values, and if the values are make the experience special.
Disney, that's ingrained in their staff that everybody should do the same thing.
Yeah, but yeah, it's interesting. So that's what we're going to explore in part one of this week's interview. It's with Debra Corey. Debra's an amazing lady, runs a business designed to help companies appreciate their staff more and support generating those cultures that are more likely to enhance customer experiences. Because if your staff are happy, you're more likely to be happy. But we go deeper than that in this interview. We explore all elements of kindness at work and how we can actually establish what kindness at work means. Deborah, thank you so much for joining us on the Kindness Project. We had a little conversation just now before we started, like, sort of doing the formal interview about dogs and their ability to sleep in any way they want. What thing about your dog surprises you the most?
I think you're right. It's resilience. Yeah, they can absolutely handle any situation. This is about kindness. Dogs are as kind as you can get.
Yeah.
There's never a bad day in a dog's life. I mean, they always are kind and giving. So yeah, gotta love it.
Yeah, they're very, very loving dogs.
Oh, yes.
I mean, I've told this story on the podcast before, but I never ever wanted a dog. Because I had a dog when I was a kid, and because we were really sort of busy at that time. I don't think we gave the dog enough care when I was little because we were just all too busy. And then Charlotte, when she was 8, we asked her what she wanted for Christmas one day, and she said, "I really love a little sister." And at the time, because of some medical reasons, we didn't think we could have any more kids. So we said, "Look, not going to happen. Sort of, let's just take it off the table. We'd love to, but we can't." And then, by some quirk, Sophie was born the following year. So Charlotte had a little sister. So the following Christmas, we said, "What would you like?" She went, "I'd like a dog." And we said, "Never going to happen, never going to happen." And she went, "Dad, you said that about the sister." And now
Go Charlotte, go Charlotte.
I know. Before we start, clearly I know a lot about the amazing work you do, but for the benefit of our audience, tell us a bit about you.
So I am an a people person. I've been doing it my entire career, working in organizations and different industries, different geographies. You can tell I have an American accent, so different countries, doing everything and anything when it comes to helping companies develop programs to support and care for their people.
Great stuff. And how good do you think we are now compared to when you sort of started your career and through the progression of HR as a way to support people in organizations?
I think that we've gotten better because we've understood more about what our role is. When I started in HR, it was very much one-dimensional. You put in place these types of programs. You take care of the person when they walk through the door. And what we're realizing is that that door is a revolving door, and it's not as linear as you walk in, you support them. If you think, I'm doing a talk next week about how benefit programs have changed, for example. And if you think about the type of benefit programs that we have now compared to what we had when I started 20 years ago, it's, we support the whole person. We care for them, their children, their parents, their mental health, their financial well-being. So I think we're understanding it. We still have a long way to go because unfortunately a lot of our strategy is still deeply rooted in what we did before. But I think we're headed in the right direction. And as long as we have the right mindset and we do the right things, we'll get there.
I always think about like the corporates I've worked in, and we employ a team in my business, but as a small family business, I think the culture is different to a lot of large corporates. But I think the trend has changed from HR was something, as you say, that they used to focus on in terms of induction, and then when you were leaving, they focused on, as opposed to that bit in the middle where HR wasn't an issue unless there was a challenge, right? That's part of it. I think that's 100% changed. What have you learned the most about people in the work you do?
This is an obvious one. We all hear about how there's 5 generations in the workplace. And I think that what I've learned the most is that there's not just one way to do things. And again, if I think about how I started out, we would come up with one program and we'd roll it out to everybody, and we'd expect everyone to be excited about it and everyone to engage with it. And what we're realizing is there's not just one way to do it. There's many different ways to do it. And, some people could see that as a challenge. I see it as such an amazing opportunity. That's why I love the diversity of it.
100%. 100%.
So before sort of, as with the dog conversation, before sort of we started the interview, Deb was talking about sort of the idea of kindness at work. Sort of what meaning does that have to you?
Oh, sorry. That's really unprofessional, isn't it? Having my mobile phone on during the podcast recording.
That's okay.
My wife's in Jersey at the minute, Deborah. So I had an operation last Thursday. We were all due to be in Jersey, but I had an operation on my ear last Thursday, and the surgeon said I'm not allowed to fly. So that's the reason, and that's the reason Charlotte's down, because she said, with Mum and Sophie being away, I'm going to come down from Glasgow in my Easter holidays and look after you. And that's quite a kind thing to do, isn't it? It's quite nice.
That is. Do you know what? That's what you want in your children, is for them to take that ownership and responsibility. So yeah.
We were. It was funny. We were invited on a webinar to talk about the podcast yesterday, and it was quite funny, wasn't it? But it was one of those things where we realised that nowadays, because Charlotte's in Glasgow the majority of the time, we're never in the same place when we do this sort of stuff. So it's quite unusual for us to.
We're quite distracting for each other as well.
Yeah. You were gonna. Should we go back to the actual podcast? And you were asking about.
Yeah.
So I think Charlotte's question was, what is kindness at work to you, and what does it mean?
Yeah. Well, doing what I do, I sort of look through two different lenses. So as an HR person, I have a responsibility for delivering kindness in what I do. So from an HR perspective, it's making sure that I put in programs that show that we care about our people. And it's interesting because during the pandemic, I wrote a book on employee engagement, which is about relationship connection to our employees. And I actually, during the pandemic, changed my definition to say that a key aspect of engagement is showing kindness, showing care, showing support, which used to be all touchy-feely, fluffy. But I think during the pandemic, we realized how it could be the difference between a company really being engaged, an employee being engaged with you and wanting to stay with you, and somebody saying when the pandemic's over, you know what, forget it. You never showed me any kindness whatsoever. I'm leaving you. So from an HR perspective, to me, answering your question, Charlotte, that's kindness. I also do a lot of work with leaders, and I do a lot of work in my writing and also in my training. And for me, kindness from a leader perspective is showing that care, showing that empathy, being there for that person. My husband's a senior manager, and if I listen to, I can hear his conversations all the time because we're both on the same floor working, and he spends more of his time showing kindness and care for his people than doing the technical stuff, which doesn't mean he's not doing his job. It just means he realizes as a leader, a key element and a key component of his job is taking the time, spending the time to show that kindness and care.
Yeah. Do you think those skills can be learned?
Absolutely. I use my husband as an example. He's a techie. He's a developer. He never wanted to be a manager at all. He goes, I don't want to do that people stuff. And little by little, I've seen such a change in him. As a matter of fact, my most recent book that I wrote is a book for managers on showing appreciation. And I had him write the foreword for me because I wanted to show that anybody can go on that journey. Even somebody who, writes code all day long can actually move to that, as long as you want to and you understand the importance of it.
That's interesting, isn't it? That element of, I suppose, care and kindness when it comes to tech kids might be a different approach to care and kindness when it comes to, a slightly more touchy-feely, fluffy sort of business. How do you work out what that definition of kindness at work is in different organizations?
Yeah, and it's different organizations, but different people. And to me, if I think about how do you get kindness and care right, and again, I've learned this the hard way, it's trying to figure out what's going to work for that person in that situation. I'll give you a perfect example. I can see the builders out of the corner of my eyes over there. I don't know if you guys remember, about a month ago or so, it was like really cold and the snow was, I don't know where you live, but for us, we had so much snow. It was absolutely insane. And these guys, they were on a mission. They're like, we are not leaving today until we get the roof up. I'm not leaving your extension without a roof with all the snow coming down. And, I could have just said thank you, which I did all the time, make them teas and coffees, which I did. And I thought, you know what? This is extenuating circumstances. We don't get snow that much in the UK. I'm going to go out of my way. And I spent the next hour and a half making them homemade soup. And that was my way of saying, do you know what? I'm going to go out of my way.
I really appreciate it.
Absolutely. Because I felt I had to step up because they were stepping up, or I wanted to step up. Nobody made me do it.
Yeah. And I think as humans, we always appreciate people taking that next step, isn't it? That sort of next step. How else do you think we need to be a bit kinder to each other, both as business owners and leaders, but also as colleagues and teammates? What can we do practically?
Yeah, well, my most recent book is on appreciation. Appreciation costs nothing, absolutely nothing. And we're also busy and we all focus so much on when things go bad. So again, I'll go back to my builders because it's near and dear to my heart right now. We had a little bit of a miscommunication when it came to the electricians, and they thought they were going to do one thing. We thought they were going to do something else. And it turned into this big, uncomfortable conversation. And long story short, they did what they needed to do. And that night when I finished work at like 8:00, I sent messages to the electricians, just thanking them and letting them know, how much it meant to us, them stepping up and doing it. And, that little effort, I said, please tell your guys, they went out of their way and things like that. But so busy, all we do is spend our time complaining. Most people would not, I'm not saying I'm great, but I understand the importance of it. And I took 2 seconds to write this message to him. Absolutely.
And I suppose the big thing as well is the fact that, like, next time you need something like that done, you're the Debra who says thanks, right? You're not the Debra who says, oh, this was a bit of a pain. It's that it just changes that dynamic in terms of particularly long-term relationships. You want to be the person who's like that.
Absolutely. And I was going to say that, and that's why a lot of my time with managers, because a lot of times it's not comfortable for people to do it. I do these sessions and I can see the people in the back of the room rolling their eyes because they don't understand, to your point, the business side of it. So, I didn't do it for that reason. I didn't do it, just for the long term, but there's so many knock-on effects in that. Yes, they'll go out of the way next time. They'll be more productive because they know that's what you want. So the more that we can get people see that it's a win-win, the more they'll, embrace it.
I think you're right. And I think people who tend to do it naturally don't do it for the reasons, or maybe do it naturally or have learned to do it. Don't do it for the reasons of the longer term. But I think understanding the longer term benefits probably plays a part in persuading the cynic.
Yeah, absolutely.
Do you know what I mean? Yeah.
And I'm wondering, I know you guys are with the questions, but Charlotte, you're a different generation than I am. And, everything you read, it comes more naturally to your generation. I don't know what your thoughts are. Do you feel that people of your generation appreciation comes more naturally?
I'm not sure. I think it really depends person to person. I think that's sort of all generations. But I think there is sort of less of a sense of it comes naturally. I think we sort of have an idea of actually even people who do the simplest jobs deserve respect for the jobs they do, which I think isn't found as often in older generations. I'm not saying like people don't respect people for the work they do. I'm saying it's sort of like it gets more recognized by the younger generations.
We were, and again, feel free to chime in if I'm getting this wrong. But we were, I think from what I've perceived, two things are probably going on from generation to generation. And I think about my dad, and then I look at how great Charlotte is at stuff like this. So number one is emotional openness. So I picked Charlotte up. This was a while ago now, wasn't it? I picked Charlotte up from her friends, and she's got mixed bunch of friends. They all like Dungeons and Dragons, which is your big thing at the minute, isn't it? Absolutely loves that. But when she was leaving her friend's house, her friend gave her a big hug and said, "I love you, mate. See you soon." And that emotional openness, both to talk about the stuff that you feel, good or bad, is a great thing, isn't it? It's that emotional openness, because I think probably previous generations weren't as good at being emotionally open as before. What do you think?
Yeah, I definitely think that's true. Like, I try and I started doing it with you guys. Of like, every time I was separating from you, it's like telling you I love you now.
Yeah.
Telling you now.
and it's really interesting. I'm not naturally good at that. I don't think it's something that I've had to do better. And funny enough, Cassie, my wife, is with my cousin Louise, and I write about her in the book. So she's lived and worked in Jersey for 25 years, because literally every time you speak to her, she tells you she loves you. Yeah. And it's a habit that we've tried to adopt to do that.
Yeah.
But yeah, so what else do you think? What other generational changes do you think are happening?
I think you can see, like, I can also see, like, the older generations becoming more sort of emotionally open and stuff like that. Like, this is a strangely funny example for me, but when I was younger, you used to like sit stone faced at a movie, and now every once in a while I'll look over and you're just crying.
I do. I enjoy it.
But when I was a kid, you never used to do it.
Do you think it's more accepted now? So it's like, before it was like, no, you don't show your emotions. And I think that it's more accepted. It's also more visible just with social media and things like that. So I do think there's changes. But I mean, you said it at the very beginning, Charlotte, it's not 100% generational. We all are different. We all have different personality styles, personality traits. But hopefully it's getting more comfortable to do these.
I think people are beginning to recognize that there are benefits to talking about things. Like, I know that, I don't know if you ever do this with your friends, but sometimes one of my friends will just phone me and be like, that text message you sent was a little bit suspicious. I'm just checking in to make sure you're okay. And then we'll talk until things are good.
Yeah.
Well, not necessarily good, but like better. But that's not the kind of things.
And weirdly, I think, and again, clearly it depends on the individual, but I think blokes, men in particular, are not particularly good at the emotional intelligence thing. But again, I think there is certainly the people we've interviewed on the podcast over the past 3 or 4 years who are really encouraging and incentivizing men to be more emotionally intelligent and open. From a guy called Ollie Smith we interviewed 3 years ago, that Russ, our producer Russ, thinks it's his all-time favourite interview, who works in financial services. He was an editor of a magazine, and he came out and said, like, I've struggled with my mental health. And it started this really big debate in our professional world about how to manage that and deal with that. That was amazing. All the way through to people who, there's an organisation where they just encourage men to go out for a walk, and it's as simple as that. But actually having that environment where you you can, emotionally explore is really interesting.
Yeah, and it's interesting going back to, I think Charlotte's question earlier about, what does kindness mean in the workplace? And I was talking about from an HR perspective, what does that mean? And, we could spend this whole session talking about HR and what we're doing to support mental health. But, one of the key things that I see best in class companies do is to open the door to conversations. One company I interviewed, they had an It's Okay campaign where each week they would say, it's okay to talk about this. It's okay to talk about that. And really just to open the door. And again, I think that's something that we never would encourage. I can remember trying to put in some type of mental health benefit, probably 10 years ago, and my CEO saying, that happens at home. Our job is not to talk about someone's mental health here. They can go talk to somebody outside of the workplace. And now it's like, no. You don't leave that part of your brain, when you walk through the door.
More sort of like, it does impact every aspect of.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, it's funny. I did an A level in psychology, but there was this one section of this. There was one type of question, and it was always, how does this aspect of mental health affect the economy? And like they gave us like this breakdown of, actually, if people were having poor mental health, they're less likely to go into work, they're less likely to be able to, earn money and then
be as effective.
So I think there is sort of a coming of understanding that it does impact.
Well, I suppose that's the interesting thing, isn't it? Because there is a counter argument that says that, kind workplaces potentially, not one I believe, by the way, but I think it's an interesting conversation. Kind of workplaces aren't as effective or efficient. What would you say about that? And what does the evidence say?
Yeah, and I'd pick up on what you were saying, Charlotte, as that when you don't have kindness, what are the things that happen? I remember going to a CFO because I wanted to put in a new policy for bereavement leave. Someone on the team, one of their parents unfortunately passed away, and we didn't have anything in place so that they could take time off. And the CFO was like, well, why do you want to do this? And I said, do you want this person coming into the office who is so distraught?
Yeah.
They are going to make mistakes. They're going to piss off our customers. They're going to get in arguments and trying to do unfortunately, the negative side of what happens when you don't bring kindness and you don't bring support in. And you're absolutely right. I've worked in manufacturing. If you have someone who is not being treated in the most supportive way, just think about the damage that they could do. Forget about mental damage, physical damage that they could do to themselves, to products. It'd be fascinating to find out, if you think about some of the you go into the supermarket and they say something's being recalled or something. What kind of day was that person having when they made that product? The more data we can have to support it, the more we can convince, people who might not get the true kindness, kindness for the sake of kindness.
But I think that's the interesting thing, isn't it? We are moving, but culturally, that line between the human at work and the human at home was really sort of boldly drawn, wasn't it? And I think nowadays we've come to appreciate that it's the same human.
Yeah.
It's the same.
It is. Yeah. And I think the pandemic, to some extent, at least from a workplace perspective, forced us into it.
So that's part one of the interview with Debra. I loved our interview with Debra. Charlotte, what did you think?
Yeah, it was good. I can't wait for the second part.
Yeah, it'd be good. And on that note, we are on to what we always have at the end now. It's Joke of the Week.
We have another podcast at the end of it, truly the end, because we have Joke of the Week now. Way.
Well, I'll be the judge. I'll be the judge of whether it deserves a cheer. Go on.
It probably doesn't, because I intentionally picked them bad because I know it's the format. Helvetica and Times New Roman walk into a bar. Get out of here, shouts the bartender. We don't serve your type.
Hey!
It's Russell.
And on that note,
I love a bit of Helvetica as well.
I like Times New Roman.
I'm a Calibri. I was going to say I'm a Calibri man myself.
And on that note, a bad joke, and then what's your favourite font conversation? That is the end of another podcast. Have a lovely week, and we will see you on the podcast soon.
Bye.
Bye.